¡Vacila los rumberos!
The Gran Malecón of the Rio Magdalena captures the essence of what Barranquilla is. Its expressive personality to its bright carnivalistic colors are a way many Barranquilleros proudly show their heritage, especially in the culturistic experience when you visit the Malecón. It is divided into 4 sectors. The first sector is called the Gastronomic Center. Due to its proximity to the Puerta de Oro, Sector 1 mainly commercial with many green areas, it is structured around 2 main concepts, which are the scenic venue and the tourist boardwalk. The second sector, called the Recreational sector, will be a large park with thousands of newly planted trees with the purpose of making the city greener. The third sector is meant to promote sports and physical activities. It will have 4 soccer fields and 2 synthetic fields. The last sector is the Cultural sector. Here, a theater will be built that will be able to house up to 900 spectators for musical, folkloric, dramatic events, among others, that will promote and strengthen the cultural sector of the city. Falling in love with the Magdalena River while contemplating its scenery, nature, and Caribbean charm has become the perfect plan for Barranquilla residents and visitors. Since its opening, the project has been received with the approval of many citizens, evidenced in posts applied within the boardwalk and social networks. Barranquilla is conquering the river. Again, we are seeing it. This is the great beginning of a new Barranquilla, of a marriage that will make us all happy, says Mayor Alejandro Chara, who sets an example of pride in the new Barranquilla with its frequent visits in which it dialogues with visitors and receives recognition for this initiative. In social networks, locals, visitors, and people living abroad commented positively on the project, highlighting that the boardwalk is giving a new face to the city, anonymous with progress, and that Barranquilla is opening its windows to the river as in the great cities of the world.
According to former mayor of Barranquilla, the Malecón represents Barranquilla's transformation and gives people the opportunity to see the face of Magdalena River. This is a place brand with cultural elements which help serve the purpose of commemorating the culture of the coast and the Caribbean region, alongside unifying society, promoting commercial areas, and favoring nature.
Walking through the extensive walkway of the Gran Malecón, we can see it's much more than what you can see naked eye. It represents not only economical wealth, but also that Barranquilla is rich in nature. Not all countries count with a Malecón like Barranquilla has. This represents national gaze. You'll feel proud of Barranquilla and all of what it has for you.
The eye catch of the Malecón and the animal that gave it its name is the caiman, or alligator. The caiman represents an animal typical of the coast, found in Magdalena River. The figure of the caiman in the river was popularized by the legend of the riverside culture called the alligator man, which became a symbol of respect and devotion for later indigenous cultures. This was due to its fierce features, which then became very important for nowadays spiritual, carnival, and cultural practices, according to sociologist Edgar Reisening, a scholar of folklore and culture. To properly symbolize the caiman, the Malecón additionally helps visitors experience instincts inspired by the caiman when it seeks its perfect prey. Starting off by an enjoyable at sunset, when the alligator waits for the moment when the day ends to find its food, representing the possibility of nocturnal enjoyment. Always at the river's edge, where the majority of the caiman's food is found. In the market, it means the high quality and varied offer of main dishes. Lastly, with sweet waiting, recognizing that the most exquisite things come with time. On the other hand, we have the Sailor Square, or Plaza de los Marinos, where 2 anchors are joined together to symbolize sailors and navigators. The monument honors the life and work of the navigators of the world that turned Barranquilla into a port of river and sea.
As discussed before with the caiman with wings hanging in the roof of the restaurant, we can say that this is an allusion to Gabriel Garcia Marquez's magical realism. Gabo's magical realism is represented with butterflies, so what they did was to combine the caiman that is symbolic from Barranquilla with Gabo's butterflies to create a figure that is typical from Barranquilla. find juxtaposition in the iconic restaurant in the Gran Malecón. This because the caiman, such an intimidating and strong animal, is presenting with butterfly wings, such a defenseless and soft animal. These are contradicting things that don't go with each other.
An element that might have been found rare or bizarre around the Malecón turned out to be a very different and fun approach to the Caribbean culture. Statues of alligators all throughout the restaurants are personified, giving them human qualities. These qualities are typical human actions we can see on the coast, like being shown as street vendors, selling raspados and mangos, or dressed like civilians and travelers, wearing guayaberas, an outfit typical of the coast. Barranquilla is generally known to showcase many bright colors. In the Malecón, color abounds, which not only commemorates the colors of joy the Carnaval de Barranquilla brings, but also uses the colors of Barranquilla's flag, showing pride and patriotism for the city.
In the Malecón, we find a stand representing the face of Alechar, the mayor who managed the construction of the Malecón. This architect of Alechar looks to honor him for his great job with the construction of the Malecón. We can also find symbolism through what represents Barranquilla. The caiman is representative from Barranquilla. This we can notice by looking at Barranquilla's baseball team, Caimanes de Barranquilla, songs and more. And in the restaurant they serve typical food like cocadas, patacón and many more. They also play songs such as salsa and more, all of them being typical from Barranquilla. So the fact that all of this is shown in the Malecón is a symbolism in representation of Barranquilla's typical culture.
The Gran Malecón of the Rio Magdalena has been a family-friendly place for Barranquilleros to grow and thrive, making it a venerable monument that represents Barranquilla culture. The Gran Malecón and its new attraction have exceeded the number of visits to this public space opened by the ex-mayor of Barranquilla. However, its sacredness to our city has not been well taken care of since controversial videos arose, causing the public to call out on citizens who made the egregious mistake of misusing the public space. In this video, several people are seen walking through the green area and stepping on part of the vegetation in order to cross a boardwalk. This last clip was taken from news website El Heraldo. In this next clip, also taken from the same source, we can see a group of miners climbing on top of some structures, a space usually reserved for street vendors and salesmen.
Falta cultura acá en Barranquilla. Los niños, los papás no le dicen nada a esos niños. Miren eso. ¿Dónde están los papás de esos pelados? ¿Dónde están? Se caen.
In the video, the man is heard questioning the lack of civic culture and asking where the parents of the miners were. On a more serious and environmentally harmful note, a released photograph has aroused many comments on social networks. After Twitter user denounced an alleged dumping of waste by the company Argos, the same company in charge of constructing the drawbridge in the Magdalena River. The user's contemptible tweet went relatively viral and galvanized many other Twitter users to respond with critiques. Tomás Restrepo, regional vice president of the company Argos, later rebutted him and his company in an interview with Caracol Radio, stating that the environmental authorities have already made a visit to the place and saw that they're the same procedures normally used, clarifying their stringent guidelines on such matters. Thanks to the copious amounts of complaints, Barranquilla Verde reported its inspection visit to the place, assuring through Twitter that no process has been presented that threatens our resources, because they found that what is overflowing is water and mud, and not concrete or waste as discussed in many networks. The drawbridge is in its final processes. Barranquilla will have the first drawbridge in the country, connecting it to the Great Malecón. These small adjustments hone in on the improvements of infrastructure and the overall refinement of the image of our beloved city.
The Malecón is full of rhetorical devices that can be interpreted in many ways. This monument represents the flora and fauna and an homage to Colombian and international gastronomy. Its previous controversies show just how defensive Barranquilleros can get over this sacred place. The event in which the local, national, and foreign media emphasized was the inauguration of the boardwalk that they built next to the one of the arms of the Magdalena River that bathes the beloved Barranquilla. Barranquilleros have expressed their pride in the development and urban changes that have been taking place in that city, especially in recent years, and the boardwalk has been taken by them as a work that will make history, because on that river walkway, the inhabitants and visitors of this great city will have the opportunity to recreate and enjoy the landscape and fresh air of the Magdalena.